I would speak to people, I'd be like, I'm thinking, what do you think of reform? They go, oh my God, they're racist. And when I'd actually ask them, okay, why don't you tell me which policy exactly? What have they said exactly that's racist? And they just put their hands up and they go, they are just racist. They couldn't pinpoint to anything.
I bet. The Reform Party was originally called the Brexit Party and was created by a woman called Catherine Blakelock, who said that black people were inherently violent because of excess testosterone. So it was created by somebody who was an out and overt racist. It's now led by Nigel Farage, who first got everybody's attention just before Brexit with his Breaking Point poster. The poster which he used visibly Middle Eastern people to scare people about European migration. And that obviously, from the sounds of it, doesn't make any sense. Why would you point to Middle Eastern people if the whole issue of Brexit was leaving the EU and ending free movement from EU countries? Well, the UK was never part of the EU's common asylum policy, so none of the people in that photograph had any basis to enter the UK based on our EU membership. It was just using brown faces to scare people. And if you're thinking, oh, Femi, you're just being an oversensitive lefty, that's not really the kind of thing they were going for. Well, Andy Wigmore was the communications director of Leave.eu, so the person in charge of this comms. And he said that back in the day, then what these people said was very clever. He said that when he looks at what they did and then what he did with Nigel Farage during the Brexit campaign, he realized that what he did with Nigel Farage was nothing new, right? So he literally said that what Nigel Farage did here was the modern day equivalent of these guys. That's not some lefty attack line where we say that everybody that we don't like is these guys. That's literally one of Nigel Farage's allies. That's the two of them together right there. This is one of his friends saying that his work was the equivalent of the people from the 1930s. Then you've got Lee Anderson, the MP who was originally with the Conservatives, but then he said that Sadiq Khan was being controlled by Islamists and that's why he was supporting the pro-Palestine marches. He then had to leave the Conservatives and join the Reform Party. So he literally joined the Reform Party because he was deemed to be too Islamophobic for the Conservatives. And if you're thinking, yeah, but Islamophobia isn't technically racism, it's against Islam. The people who were attacking minorities during the riots after Southport, they were not checking the religious affiliations of the brown people they were attacking. They were just attacking minorities in the street. They believed that a Muslim was responsible for the attacks in Southport, and so they just went out and attacked anybody who was brown. And Lee Anderson, a leading MP for the Reform Party, said the rioters were not far right, they were just angry, so he defended them. So a leading Reform MP explicitly took the side of people who were attacking minorities in the street, but not racist though, right? Then there's Nigel Farage saying
46% of British Muslims support Hamas, support a terrorist organisation.
Which was just a lie, because those British Muslims in the survey were given an either-or question between Hamas and the Israeli government. And I've actually got some funny footage of me with a Reform Party supporter getting them to admit that what Nigel Farage said was wrong, but oh, it was just a mistake. But here's the thing. If you're going to go on TV and accuse 46% of British Muslims of supporting terrorism, it means you don't care. If you're willing to be that reckless and not check your facts before you do it, it means you don't care about them. Because you know that that kind of stuff can lead to innocent brown people being attacked in the streets. So if you're going to be that reckless with your stats, it means you don't care what happens to Muslim people or brown people in general. And this is why the bar has never been just don't be racist. You have to be anti-racist, because if politicians or journalists start saying stuff which is reckless as to whether or not it's going to have a harm on ethnic minorities, then the effect of that is racism. Regardless of whether or not they intentionally meant to cause racism, the effect of them being reckless with their words, if you want to say it's a mistake, is racism. And that's even if you wanted to give the people the benefit of the doubt. They know exactly what they're doing. They have said so. Unfortunately, there is so much of this stuff and it goes back so many years that not everybody's going to be able to just come up with this stuff off the top of the dome while they're chilling on holiday. But it doesn't mean the Reform Party isn't racist.